I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. My name is Jason, and I've been with my wife Ashley for about 7 years now. We got married just over 3 years ago, and honestly, I thought we had a solid, loving relationship. Sure, we had our ups and downs like everyone does, but I genuinely believed we were in this together for the long haul. We had plans, dreams about a house, a family, the normal stuff. I was happy, or so I thought. Things started to feel off about 6 months ago, though. Small things at first, Ashley being more distant, canceling date nights without good explanations, her phone always face down, hiding her messages. I brushed it off at first. I figured maybe she was stressed at work or just going through some phase. She's a bit of a bitch sometimes, snappy, sarcastic, quick to lie when it suited her. But I knew her well enough to read her moods. So I kept quiet, hoping things would get better. Then our anniversary rolled around. It was supposed to be special. We planned a weekend getaway, just the two of us, somewhere quiet to celebrate. I was excited. I even bought her a nice gift, a necklace she'd been eyeing for months. But the morning of, she was strangely irritable. Snapped at me about petty stuff, said she wasn't feeling well and wanted to cancel everything. I was disappointed, sure, but I wanted to make the best out of it. I told her we could still do something, even if it was just dinner at home. What I didn't realize at the time was how much she'd been lying to me. She had been acting strange for weeks, avoiding my gaze, sneaking around her phone, and I noticed she was really careful not to be caught. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. I tried to confront her a few times, but she'd brush it off with some bitchy comment about how I was paranoid or jealous. Honestly, she's always been like that, difficult, bitchy, quick to accuse me of everything. But this time, I knew something was different. Something was definitely wrong, and I wasn't going to ignore it anymore. That night, I decided to do a little digging. I know, sounds cheesy, but I couldn't help myself. I went through her phone when she was in the shower, just a quick peek, nothing malicious, just trying to see if there was any evidence of what she'd been hiding. And what I found made my stomach drop. There were messages, pictures, things she'd been hiding from me. But what really tore me apart was a series of photos of her with this guy, Mark, at some restaurant, smiling and cozy like they were on a date. The captions, things like "can't wait to see you tonight" and "miss you already." My heart started pounding. How long had this been going on? I stared at the screen, feeling numb. I couldn't believe it. She'd been cheating on me with my best friend, Mark, that piece of shit. The guy I trusted, the guy who I introduced to my wife, who I thought was my brother in everything but blood. I felt a mix of rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. All those nights I thought she was just stressed or busy with work, she was out with him, and she lied about everything. The worst part, when I confronted her about the messages later that night, she looked me right in the eyes and said, "You're being paranoid, Jason. You're overreacting. Mark's just a friend, and I don't see what the big deal is." That bitch's tone was so dismissive, like I was crazy for even questioning her. She tried to spin it, said she was just talking to Mark about some project or that I was imagining things. But I knew better. I had seen enough to know that I was right, and it was no innocent friendship. It was something more, something dirty, and I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and I kept replaying that image of her smiling with him, happy, while I was just a few feet away, completely unaware. Every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, had been lying to me for months. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this, right at the moment I thought we were solid? It was like my whole world was crashing down, and I didn't know what to do. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. After I found the pictures and the messages, everything changed. I couldn't keep pretending nothing was wrong. I needed answers, and I needed her to face what she'd done. That night I sat her down, my hands trembling, voice cold but controlled. I told her I knew. I showed her the photos, the messages, everything I'd uncovered. Her face shifted from that bitchy smirk she always had to something else. Defiance, maybe, or just pure guilt hiding behind her eyes. She looked at me like I was crazy, her voice already defensive. "Jason, you're blowing things out of proportion. Mark's just a friend. You're making a huge deal out of nothing. You're paranoid, I swear. You're just jealous because I didn't tell you about some stupid project I was working on." I stared at her. I couldn't believe how easily she lied, how quick she was to deny. It was like she didn't even care that I was hurt, like she thought she could just brush it off with her bitchy attitude. I told her I didn't believe her, that I had proof, and asked her what the hell was going on. Her eyes narrowed and she snapped back, "You're overthinking everything. You're secure. Maybe I should be the one asking questions about you and your little friends." That was when I realized her lies weren't just about this affair. They were about everything, about who she really was. She's always been bitchy, a manipulator, quick with a lie and a snide remark. But this was her worst. I felt my stomach twist, like I was punched in the gut all over again. I wanted to break something, yell at her, scream at her for cheating, for lying, for destroying what I thought was ours. But I didn't. I just sat there, staring at her, feeling the weight of it all. Everything I trusted, everything I believed in, crumbling right in front of me. I kept asking myself how someone I loved could do this, how she could look me in the eyes and lie so effortlessly. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and at that moment I realized I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with any of it. Not anymore. The days that followed felt like torture. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus on anything except that image of her with Mark, the betrayal seared into my mind. I kept replaying the moment I discovered her lies, trying to find some reason or explanation that would make sense. But there was none, just a deep, aching sense of loss and anger that grew with each passing hour. I started noticing more things, small, subtle changes in her behavior. She became even more dismissive, more bitchy, snapping at me over nothing, acting like I was the one overreacting. I caught her deleting messages, hiding her phone more than ever. It was like she was trying to cover her tracks, but I wasn't going to let her. My mind raced with ways to catch her in more lies, to understand what was really happening. I needed to see her with my own eyes, to confront her with everything I had. One evening, I followed her after she said she was going to meet a friend for coffee. I kept my distance, watching her walk into that little cafe downtown. I saw her meet Mark, two people who I once thought cared about each other. They sat in the back corner and I could see their heads close together, whispering, touching occasionally. I took pictures, crisp, undeniable proof, but I didn't feel victorious. I just felt sick. My chest was tight. My fists clenched. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I was ready for everything. I walked into her house, my mind a storm of anger and heartbreak. When she saw me, her face twisted into that bitchy glare she always wore. I threw the photos on the table, and for a second her eyes widened just a little too much. "Is this what it's about, Mark? You've been lying to me this whole time," I said, my voice trembling but loud enough to cut through the silence. Her reaction was instant. She spun around, her voice dripping with that nasty sarcasm she always used. "Oh, so now you're spying on me. Wow, Jason, you really know how to make a guy feel special. You're just paranoid as usual." I felt my blood boil. The rage was almost uncontrollable. I looked straight into her eyes and told her I wasn't going to be played anymore, that I knew she'd been cheating on me with my best friend at our anniversary party, no less. Her face stayed calm, too calm, and she started to lie again, saying, "It's not what you think. We're just friends. You're imagining things. You're so insecure, Jason." That was the moment I realized she had zero remorse. She was just trying to deny, to manipulate her way out of it. I wanted to shake her, to scream at her for what she'd done, but all I could do was stand there, feeling like I was losing my mind. That night, the reality hit me hard. I was betrayed, humiliated, and I knew I had to decide what to do next. I couldn't keep living like this, pretending she wasn't a snake in the grass. The confrontation left me completely shattered, but it also ignited a burning resolve. I knew I couldn't keep pretending she was innocent, or that somehow I was overreacting. The truth was staring me in the face. She had been cheating on me with Mark at our anniversary party, right under my nose, and she didn't even seem to care how much it hurt me. That realization hit harder than anything else. I had invested 7 years in this woman, and she threw it all away for some quick sex and a damn lie. I started thinking about what I had to do. Part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand the truth, to scream and break things. But deep down, I knew that wouldn't change anything. The damage was done. No apology, no excuse, no explanation could undo what she'd done. I felt a strange clarity. This wasn't just about her cheating, it was about who she was. And I couldn't keep living with that woman anymore. So I made a decision. I told her I needed space, that I couldn't be around her anymore until I figured everything out. She tried to argue to say she loved me, that it was all a mistake, that she'd change. I saw through her bullshit. Her words were hollow, designed to manipulate, to make me feel guilty enough to stay. But I wasn't falling for it. I knew this was the end of the line for us. In the days that followed, I moved out of our shared apartment. I stayed with a friend, trying to process what had happened, a mixture of anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief. I knew she'd continue to lie and deny, but I also knew I couldn't fix this. That part of me was dead. I looked at the photos again, at the messages, and I realized I wasn't just hurt, I was broken. My trust was shattered beyond repair, and I had to decide whether to fight to rebuild or to walk away. Honestly, I'm still figuring that out. Part of me wants to burn everything she ever gave me, the jewelry, the pictures, all those memories. Part of me feels like I should forgive, forget, and try to move on. But right now, I think I need to be alone to heal and to accept that some betrayals cut too deep to fix. I've learned a lot from this, about trust, about who people really are, and about how sometimes the biggest betrayals come from the people you think are closest. And let me tell you, nothing hurts more than realizing your wife, your best friend, had been lying to your face for months, right at the happiest moment of our year together. That's the kind of betrayal that leaves you questioning everything. Now, looking back, I realize I'm still trying to piece myself back together. It's been a brutal ride, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever fully get over what she did. But I do know this: I won't let her or Mark define my future. I've learned some hard lessons about trust and betrayal, lessons I wished I never had to learn. The one thing I'm certain of now is that I deserve better than someone who can lie and cheat at the worst moment, someone who shows her true colors when it's easiest to walk away from the truth. I've started to rebuild myself, piece by piece, and I've realized that my happiness isn't dependent on her or anyone who thinks betrayal is okay. This whole experience has changed me for better or worse. I see people differently now, and I'm more cautious, more guarded. But I also feel a sense of clarity. I know what I won't accept anymore, and I know I won't stay silent next time someone does me wrong. I've learned that sometimes the only way to truly move on is to confront the pain head-on, face the betrayal, and then walk away, knowing I did everything I could. So to anyone out there who's going through something similar, trust your instincts. Don't let anyone lie their way out of what they've done. And remember, you're stronger than you think. Pain like this can break you, but it can also teach you to stand taller, to value yourself more. I may be hurting right now, but I'm also healing. And someday, I believe I'll find someone who's worthy of my trust, not someone who betrays me at my happiest moment. That's what I've learned from this hellish experience.